Yeah, good evening and good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining for this 43rd CRE lecture. Today we have the pleasure of listening to Professor Gangadharan, who is the Dean Planning and also from the Department of Mechanical Engineering at NIT Surathkal. He also heads a Center for System Design. During my recent visit to NIT Surathkal, I also visited his lab, and I thought he should share his experience on what he is doing in terms of creating experiential learning experiences for students through a variety of ways. So I've invited him to share his experience today. With that short introduction, I will ask Dr. Gangadharan to start sharing his presentation. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So this, we'll treat it as an interaction session because you can stop me wherever you like, and then we'll have interaction so that it is much more pleasant. Hope you are able to see my screen.
We can see the screen, sir.
Yeah. So very pleasant good evening and good morning to Subbu and other people on the other side of the world. And welcome on behalf of National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, Surathkal. We are sensitive to the nature, and we also hope to become carbon neutral by 2030. The place where I work is worship. Today, we look at how do we impart experiential learning to our students. So I'm looking at designing real world immersive learning experience for engineering students, and whatever few works which we did under Center for System Design is what I would like to share. And thank you, Collective, for reimagining engineering innovation, CRE, for inviting me and allowing me to make presentation on what we are doing in the little way at NITK Surathkal at Center for System Design. Let us just look at what kind of student input we get to the institution now, engineering institution. This is true irrespective of what institute you teach or learn. So student input is like this. All kids from 12 to 18, you know where they are rushing to. And then no play, no social life, just get ready for entrance exam. Can you imagine what picture I have put on the next? Any guess? That's a marriage function photo in Kerala. You don't see any kids there at all. And most of our functions look like this now. Even though we have a demographically 12 to 18-year-old is quite high population in India, but when it comes to any of the social functions, number of that age group coming to these kind of programs are very less. Does it has anything to do with engineering? In my opinion, yes. So with that as a base, the student input, what it is, we are just going ahead. So in a first year classes or in third semester classes, I conduct one program called an unstructured problem statement to a product. So I would like each one of you to participate here. I'll ask you to type in something. So the unstructured problem statement is, my neck is paining, help me. So this is a problem statement, and on next each one I would like you to think about the solutions, list all possible solutions in your mind or in a paper with you. Then after some time I would like you to type it in the chat box. So my neck is paining, help me. That is a statement. So what all comes to your mind as a solution, you kindly type, so that we'll see how things move. So that's what I wanted you to do. I'm waiting for your chat. If you are on mobile, keep it in horizontal position and keep typing somewhere. I hope all of you are enabled, chat enabled. I'm able to see it on my another screen. Yeah, everyone has done. So yes, neck exercise is possible. Mobile could be a reason. Very good. So some questions also came. What time, when? Good. Relax. use pain relief, balms, etc. And these answers are very similar to what I also could get from my students. Now, we haven't gone really into the question. So this activity is called Think, Pair and Share, where we create an active learning environment in the classroom by making students to talk to each other and also to make sure that they are actively participating. Now, from here, I want you to look at little more deeper into the question. That is, my neck is paining, help me. So now I have refined the problem now. Why my neck is paining? Don't look for these ladies because these are all created images. So you may not see these girls anywhere. Now I will define the problem statement a little more clearly. So we are asking questions to the lady who said my neck is paining and keep telling what is happening there. So she explains, I'm in a village where we have fairly good mud road. I need to travel 2 kilometers to fetch water. Now I am carrying it on my head. Help me. So this is unstructured problem statement now. We need to find a solution. So now if I ask you to type in the solutions, I'm sure that you are going to give me much more elaborate solutions, and that too, it could be very close to the reality. Do you mind typing in a few more solutions in the chat box? So many of the things which earlier came is to sleep posture, pillow, stop mobile phone, etc. Now you are redefining the problem statement because we have asked more questions and we got better understanding about why it is happening. Okay. Dr. Ridu Sharma says use a cart. Very good. So similarly, just keep looking at the problem statement little more so that we'll see how our students are thinking and how it can pipe the water, so have a connection that is supply through this to use some carriage for carrying water. Okay. Professor Garg is saying use an aid, some aid to make sure that I am not having the pain in the neck possible. So hope you are getting a feel that this unstructured problem statement can provoke students to think and then make them get into the solutions. So here, this is a solution which probably not many might have looked at, but this solution is available on the net also. Yeah, Saurav has already said design a trolley-like water tank. Now, this is a water tank which is rolling. So, well on wheels. Wells on wheels is what it called. It is so light. You can see the kid carrying it so easily. And this can carry 50 liters of water. That means when you are rolling it, it will be 50 liters. And a person may be carrying normally on head 20 liters. And you don't need to carry it, you can just roll it. So this is one solution. And you can also see the wrapper around so that if there is wear and tear, it can be removed and replaced, etc. And this is not designed or found by an engineer. She was an economist and she came to Maharashtra in a village and as a paying guest for one internship. When early morning she came out and saw a procession of people putting something on the head. As she knew that India is popular for all this religious activity, she thought these people are going to the temple. So she went and asked, what are you doing? And she followed them. To her surprise, she saw that people are going to fetch water, going to get water, and they are carrying it on the head. For this Western lady, never ever had seen water carrying on head. So that provoked her and got this solution. Was it something new? In fact, no. It was repurposed. You can see the kid and the position of the kid and the water now. It is just a repurposed solution. So that means if you look around, if you ask our students to look around, probably we will get solutions from the existing solution, a modification, and we can repurpose for next. But when we did this, one thing which we realized is our present students did not give this kind of a solution. And you may be surprised to see the solutions which they suggested. Many of them suggested they will use a drone and use a bucket on the drone and take the drone to the well and get water. Obviously, a person on the 11th floor who have never seen a well obviously think about these kind of approaches. So that means they lack life exposure and social interaction, and they also lack awareness to realistic issues, and most often they are device driven approach or internet will give me every solution. So with this as a background, we thought we need to have a village immersion to be done. That village immersion idea came when I was interacting with Professor Anil Gupta, who was a professor in IIM Ahmedabad and who is also known as for his activities on items like innovation, grassroots innovation, etc. He had something called Shodha Yatra, where he used to take MBA students to the villages and try to solve problems. So that as the motivation, we started at NITK different branches of students who could sign up for an activity. Around 30 students signed up on an activity which is called unstructured problem statement to product. We coded it as UPS 2P. So that's what we did. And there, what really happened was, we took the students and made them to walk around the village and made some groups, and each group were asked to identify at least 3 problem statement and prioritize the problem statement. And while after coming back, they have to work on it and convert that into a product. That was the activity. And by the time when we started with 30, but at the end of the time, this is not a classroom activity, it is an out of classroom project. We had something around 20 students actively participating. So first interaction we did, we have tried out with a few interactions earlier, but one success story which I like to present is village immersion is about, we took these students to a village which was making toys. So it is in Karnataka, our Dakshina Kannada district where NITK is, and in Mangalore. It is just 12 minutes drive from NITK. From Center for System Design, if you see, it is just 12-minute drive. And what they do is, there are around 100 families who make toys, and there are village folks, very good artisan who makes a lot of paintings on papier-mâché toys. And this was the thing which we asked them to talk to the students. And we also got an NGO called Paper Seed. Now that village itself is called Paper Seed Village. That's a change which has happened. And all of them started talking in single voice, one statement. I earn 250 rupees per day. Help me to live better. This was a statement repeatedly came. So then we asked the students to look at this. And we rephrased the statement saying that, now I get 250 per day, help me to get 2,500 rupees per day. That is a 10x growth. But then we defined it by a technology intervention without losing the importance of artisans and the manual art which they do. So it is not a complete mechanization which we are looking at. We should be able to do something amenable to them, at the same time make the earning 10x as such. This was a statement. So then students started looking at what is the most time consuming part in it and what is the real value addition. Why people buy this product or pay for this product? Because we also had MBA students and students from other background, all branches of engineering, and that two different places. I also make sure that they are pan-India, and we in NIT, all of you know, we get pan-India students. So we made that kind of a group and it worked quite well. And when we looked at this, they found that creating the shape was taking 80% of their time, whereas what they were good at is doing the painting, and that took only 20% of their time. So if there is some way to create the shape without spending 80% of the time, was the method which the students identified. And of course, as usual, they have started looking at all the internet solutions, But finally, what we ended up in doing is we asked them to make one toy of a bigger size and made a 3D scan. Then from the cloud point, we meshed it and made a 3D model. From the 3D model, we created a negative of it, that is the mold, by using 3D printing. So this is a process which we followed. You have point cloud, mesh, then we get the actual 3D printed model. Okay, but this is a mold which we created. And the advantage is this mold can be given to an uneducated person or a woman in the house during her normal house chaos. In between, she can just make few of this. It was very easy for them. And we also saw when a model is digitized, when a toy is digitized, the advantage is I can scale it to like a small keychain to any size, small, medium, and large size. We could even get a size of 8 feet of large toy by this approach. That is only once you need to make one device, one item, and 3D scan it and get it into this. By this, we are not avoiding their interaction as such, because the item which consumed so much of time of creating the shape is what is replaced, but their actual work of creating the artistic beauty on the mold or on the toy was still done by them. So this is the method which we used. Now when we did this, we found another issue popping up. The way in which they were using old paper to make the paper mache wasn't very good approach. So even though with mold they could save 80% of the time, some intricate shape they could not get because they were using a very crude method for making the paper mache. So we had some funding support, hence we took some of them to Srinagar, that is J&K, and we made them to work with the people, local people who makes the paper mache. After that we came back, our chemical engineering department helped us to make few items, to increase the fluidity of paper mache so that intricate shape can be very easily molded. Then also we tried looking at some mechanization. So they were doing all the mixing and putting it together, etc., by hand, and without really impacting much of their work and without too much of a training, and a normal village person should be able to do this. So that kind of an intervention we could do. So this is now, earlier it was the product, there is making the product, there was a change. Now it is on a process, there is a change. Then after this intervention, we saw that they are able to make a lot of product. But when they started making these kind of products, another problem started coming up. So these were the items we made, and we made use of some of the students who have that management approach and the marketing approach. We asked them, what is that somebody will buy? So people who come to this place like to buy something, some traditional toys. So something which is of very local to this region, the cultural toys and such things we proposed, and it had picked up quite well. Then the problem was all these toys are available. It is available in near your airport, etc. But the approach they used for packing was very different, and it used to get broke. So then we approached Indian Institute of Packaging at Mumbai. With their help, we trained them to design packaging. Remember, it is uplifting or upskilling the villages. Through that, our students get that experience. So packaging for transportation was created, and all this was done in a sustainable way by making use of used paper and paper mache making. And we also suggested them to add seeds so that when these items are thrown out, it will germinate. So that is how the paper seed came, and that was an activity which that NGO was doing much before we intervened. In fact, they came with us and wrote a project with MSME, and we were the implementing agency. Along with me, Dr. Bijuna and me did the project on that company called, not company, NGO Paper Seed. They also had to register on MSME and have to be profitable for giving that funding. So government gave somewhere around 40 lakh and they invested 25% of that. And that was, all this was done, and roughly around 100 villages could get benefit. More than that, the students who involved in this got real benefit of knowing how to convert an unstructured problem statement to an product. Now, let me just show you one video here about that.
Introducing MSME Innovative, empowering social enterprises to thrive. Discover the transformative power of MSME Innovative, a pioneering scheme by the Government of India under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Created to bridge the gap between the Indian manufacturing sector and the design fraternity, this scheme opens up a world of possibilities for MSME. Seasoned designers lend their expertise to assist in new product development and enhance existing portfolios. With funding support of up to 40 lakhs rupees, MSME can now elevate their business to new heights. One inspiring success story is of Paperseed, a social enterprise founded by Nitin Vas, specializing in handmade toys crafted from papier-mâché and paper pulp. Paperseed faced challenges in scaling their production and revenue. Through MSME Innovative's financial assistance, Paperseed collaborated with the esteemed Center for System Design at the National Institute of Technology, Karnataka. Under the expert guidance of CST NIT, Paperseed introduced a semi-automated manufacturing process, combining the precision of molds with the artisan's skillful touch. This innovative approach retained the essence of handmade toys while significantly increasing production efficiency. Not only could they create the same toys in varying sizes, from charming keychains to captivating showcase display models, but they also perfected their papier-mâché quality through technical interventions, ensuring the best production process. Moreover, CST engineered a curated packaging system, amplifying Paperseed's distribution capabilities. This allowed Paperseed to export their exceptional toys overseas, transcending local boundaries and expanding their global reach. Thanks to MSME Innovative's funding and the expertise of CST, Paperseed blossomed from a local toy maker into a flourishing toy manufacturing enterprise with customers spanning the globe. Join the introducing.
So now I think we can just have a few quick interactions before I get into my next immersion. If you have some questions, if you want me to avoid this presentation, we can do that. If someone has a question, because there are possibilities.
I think Saurabh has raised his hand. Maybe Saurabh, you can ask your question.
Yeah, please go ahead, Saurabh.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, actually, when you said village immersion, okay, sir, is it a process of doing something? Some process is there. Actually, I am unable to understand. You go there and visit, you got the problem statement. That was a regular process you used to do, or this is somewhere someone has identified a problem and delivered to you, and you went there and you find it out. Actually,
no,
that process I didn't understand well.
Yeah, I will tell you the process. See, now in our present syllabus, we have no such provision for taking a normal classroom students out, and there won't be much of a support. So through our out of classroom activity, which the Center for System Design is doing through other projects, we have a provision to take the students from different branches together to outside villages just going there and interacting. That is the first part. During this interaction, different problem statement came out. Out of that, one we picked up, which had a potential to get a funding. I mean, that's how we looked at it. And there were many other problem statements which we worked. We have some case studies. Some are very successful, some are not so, and some are an utter failure because our understanding about the requirement was very minimal. Even if faculty go and interact also, sometimes we fail to understand their actual requirement, because it is, you need to live with them to understand the requirement quite well. So that is our one issue. Now it is a process wherein you collect students. If you have some funding support, take them to the location. In this case, we took it in our own vehicle. I mean, 3-4 of us were there. We took it in our own vehicle. We did not ask for money from the institute, and we managed it. And they themselves sponsored some cool drinks and things of that kind of an approach. So that way we can get the problem statement identified. Yeah, Sri Krishna has raised the hand. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for sharing this, sir. It's a very interesting process that you have shared. One question I have is, like, is this a process of, is this a part of some course? Like, how do you select the students, or
Presently,
when do you have the time? When do they have the time,
Yeah.
etc.? Can you give
so
some details?
my approach towards such things is we can always find 101 reason for not doing things. We can always find 101 reason for not doing things. I am here to find one reason to do things. So I know my syllabus is not permitting this, but my institute never bothers if I do an out of classroom project. Because if I have to make a model, I need to intervene in the existing system in spite of the system, not because of the system. So in spite of the system, we created this kind of an activity, taking small groups to outside and working on it. Now this has become fairly a good process wherein we get a lot of problem statement. Many startup activities have started using this. I mean, using this, many startups have started, but of course it is yet to get embedded in a syllabus or a curricula, which hopefully slowly will get in. That is my present approach. But I know places where it is already implemented. IIM Ahmedabad, Anil Gupta sir was doing it for last more than 13 years, as far as I know. And IIT Bombay is doing it for within the campus. We also started something within the campus. And IIT Delhi, Professor PM Rao is doing it for quite some time. So many have done this kind of an experiment, but everybody has their own challenges. If you expect the system to change first and then you to initiate, it may be a non-starter. If you can initiate and then make the system to follow you, could be an approach which comes to my mind. I hope I have answered your question, sir. Krishna, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So,
If
sir,
I may, if I may, I want to add to what Ganga is saying. It's important. Even at some place like Carnegie Mellon, we started a course as an independent staff. Of course, they had to get credit. So with industry and students together, local industry and students together, where we had people from all different disciplines working together. You know, it's a more complicated. There's a paper on it, but nevertheless, the other point I want to make is something you made. When I was in India, I had a student from one of the IITs. He came in and said, we were doing a slum project, studying the slums, and I wanted to send him. He said, that's not engineering. Why am I going to the slums? And slowly I told him, okay, tell me about the lives of the people there. What do they do? What do they make? How do they make it? You know, can you figure that out? Slowly I got the information out of him, and then he said, yeah, they make agarbatti. So, and then there it started. How many do they make per day? Oh, 2,000. That's very little. They can't make enough money.
Yes.
And he make a machine which can help them do it inside the house.
Yeah.
In fact, he ended up starting a company. It's a long story. Built the system, starting a company, and couldn't market it because of other social forces.
Okay.
People started importing machines from Vietnam. It's a complex social thing because the people who bought machines from outside wanted to keep the workers the way they were, whereas what we would have done would have given them at least 20,000 agarbattis a day, expanding their income. Exactly the kind of story you're talking about. There are enough problems all around us.
Yes.
We just have to open our eyes and ask the question, what saves time, what saves drudgery? And sorry, Ganga, I want to say, someone like Edison, when he started inventing things, you know, from the days when they were wireless, his whole approach was, how do I remove drudgery from people's lives? Just think about a simple statement like that, how it unravels into a whole set of things. Anyway, sorry, Ganga.
One, I think Dr. Dheeraj had a question.
Yeah, Dheeraj, go ahead. Dheeraj? Yeah, I'm not able to hear Dheeraj.
Dr. Dheeraj
Sir,
from...
is it audible now?
Yeah,
it
audible.
is
Please go ahead.
Actually, I was thinking that how did you choose that courses where you are changing something? I mean, the pedagogy changes for your work.
This is out of classroom project. So
Right, sir.
I am fairly good at creating out of classroom projects. Slightly unconventional guy. So create a group of students to work on something, and then I will contact my faculty colleagues, ask them, can you give an assignment which will help them to do this? So some analysis of one course, etc. This is more an indirect method. I'm not propagating this as a method to be adopted, because it is better if the system allow you to do it. A systematic approach. That's why my center is called Center for System Design. I'm here to create systems, but of course I start with an individual and convert a process as a system. That's the approach. So presently it is still in individualistic level, not come as a system. So shall I explain one more simple?
Please.
Sir.
Please go ahead, sir.
So we had flood in and around Mangalore multiple times. So after flood, when it was safe, we started looking at what can be done and what is the kind of approaches which we can use. We took the students around and asked them to interact with the people. Okay, many of them went around, talked to them. They were asking some questions. How much water is there in this pond? How deep is this pond? Because it's all created now, especially water getting stagnated, etc. So there was as such no method for doing this for a shallow water. Water quality at a different depth, etc. were available, and we were doing this regularly for other organizations, especially for sand mining to identify the depth, etc. We were doing it from Center for System Design, which is called bathymetry, and is normally a civil engineering or applied water resources activity. So we had the equipment, hence we were doing it. We need 6 people on a fairly big boat to go around and do this activity. And this is what we have been asked to do in the place where is a shallow water. The what product which we created is what you are going to see there. A semi-autonomous research vessel. That's how we named it.
Water quality and depth information are crucial for managing the water resources in minor vented dams. Where the water level is quite shallow when rowing large boats, these locations offer a greater risk to both the vessel and...
That's my colleague Dr. Prithviraj, who is the lead for many of these activities.
Pertaining to these operational issues, the Center for System Design, NITK Surathkal, has developed a one-stop solution and designed an unmanned surface vehicle, SARV, a semi-autonomous research vessel. The device is equipped with a single-beam echo sounder, which measures depth up to 50 meters, and the device can be deployed in water and can be controlled and operated for a range of 1 kilometer, which further can be extended to a higher range. The end user can conduct the bathymetry survey and obtain accurate data by remotely operating the SARV without entering the river. In addition to the water depth measurement, water quality monitoring sensors can be paired together to collect numerous water quality indicators at once. SARV and its accessories are lightweight devices that may be transported anywhere with ease. This boat has a low draft and performs well in shallow water as it is made of 1.2 kilograms of lightweight polystyrene material. In order to monitor and control SARV and to receive all data in real time, a handheld ground control station with a telemetry unit. Being backpack size also makes it easy to transport even to remote locations. The instruments and sensors remain secured even under extreme conditions, thanks to the waterproof casing for all its controllers and batteries. With the aid of this device, it is quite simple to estimate the reservoir's water volume, map the lake's bottom, determine the sludge conditions upstream of the dam, and identify offshore bars. Additional sensors, including water quality sensors, can be installed on the device in addition to these uses.
So here what we did is, from a normal toy making, we got into little more into research, because this, remember, we are dealing with NIT students who are, to get into NITK, you need below 30,000 rank for 15 lakh students attending. So that means I can't just keep telling about toys and things of that kind all the time. So I need to drive them to little more mathematics and make them feel that they are attempting a challenging problem. So that is one requirement from the faculty side, to make sure that the student feel that they are attempting a challenging problem. So in that respect, this problem statement came, and the problem, it took a lot of time, actually 3 years to get this shape. Our a group of BTech students worked first, then some interns came and helped us in few things. Then finally, one student who failed in a startup came as a staff in our center, who also registered for MTech by research. And this is an output of an MTech by research, in fact, as the final product. And then we did not stop there. We saw that this boat, whatever we created from the floating body, was not able to take slight amount of flow. So we decided to go with slightly better quality, better surface area to having the floating object. And that is what we created here. I'll just show you one glimpse of it. So here we could also do an autonomous or semi-autonomous mode. This we were using for sand mining activity, wherever we wanted to identify sand. And in fact, this problem statement and solution we got, we could get good amount of consulting activity with such a simple in-house made device. And only thing we purchased is a single beam echo sounder, which is available in the market, that has fitted, and remaining all are integration. We do have a mechatronics group which works on it, and we also have the center, the facility where every department can come and work together, which is very rare in most of the institutions. So these two things helped us to get into this kind of activity. And all the possible interventions, like if something fails, can I have a manual override? Can I make it come back home without anything? Or can it identify battery level and decide stop the mission and come back for charging? All that were implemented. And students who are interested in AI, ML, some modeling was done, because without that kind of a approach, you may not get the right kind of a student. So we played for the market force, whatever is demanding, but at the same time, we looked at how to solve a problem, make the students aware of converting an unstructured problem statement to a product. So that was the approach which we did. That was from the, again, going outside the campus. But going outside the campus also involved a lot of money. And a center may not be able to support all the time these kind of activities. So then we started looking within the campus. Is it possible to identify some problem within the campus? Most of them said, sir, we know the campus so well. And later we understood we did not know the campus so well at all. So 300 acres campus, roughly around 10,000 people. And we made the group to interact with students. Estate office, that is nothing but a residential engineer's office, who does all this maintenance, plumbing, electricians, and carpenter and mason and things of that kind. Then the security guard, bio waste handler, then PWD students. So different group went and interacted with all these groups. Then we started looking at, we made a statement, we want to look at reducing carbon footprint. So e-mobility is what we had in mind, and charging. So this statement we contained in that, so that they will not look around and make problem statement which is laterally moving here and there. So we wanted to make sure sustainability is the theme, and where carbon footprint reduction is what we are looking at, and side-wise e-mobility is what we are focusing on. So this is from the faculty side we put. Then we asked them about different problem statements. So the group went and talked to the students. They said, give us a thrilling experience during transport in NITK. Remember, 18 to 22-year-old people we are dealing with. So they did not want this cycle we made, in fact. They said, can you give some thrilling experience, but still do transportation? And this was the outcome. This again, students only decided what to do, what size to be chosen, how to make, etc. And group worked from different departments. Mechanical people did the design, modeling, analysis, and electrical team did the integration of the motor and controller, and electronics group did the embedded system, and they also made an app which will be, the computer science students made an app which is integrated with our ERP solution, which is again made by students, which is called Iris. And you can just scan a QR code and get in and do all that. So we made only one piece of it, and things are ready. If some alumni willing to say 1,000 pieces we want to make, we have the drawings and other texts ready so that they can make it. Of course, so far nobody has come forward. That was the one item. When students talked to the students, they said we need some thrilling experience. They had many other statements. One of the point which picked up by the student was, give me thrilling experience in travel. Second group went to RE office, that is resident engineer's office, who does the maintenance of all buildings. They talked to different group, plumbers, carpenters, electricians, and mason. And they had different requirements. And none of the vehicle available in the market was taking care of the requirements. And this is an within the campus movement, so I don't need too much of an approval from ARAI, etc. So we decided to make e-vehicles for this application, and it is geo-fenced. So as soon as it goes outside the geo-fencing, it will stop. So I don't need to worry whether they will take it to the road or not. So a geo-fenced vehicle which will run only within NITK. So this was one model made. And they also made the design, analyzed all that they did. So a lot of engineering input has gone in. They got the real experience of doing things rather than just reading the theory and reproducing in the exam. So they had an opportunity to create the model, make the 3D print, and make sure that item purchased from outside is fitting in that. And they also have to maintain it for some time. All that they could do. And they have also decided about the range, what battery to be used, how it should be working, etc. Another problem statement came was the person who goes from building to dispatch, that is letters and other paper covers and etc. And as you know, Mangalore is 6 months rain. So this man used to go with a normal plastic cover and used to make most of the document wet. So student asked the requirements to this person. He said these are the issues. They made a model vehicle for that. So again, this item came, but then he says sometimes I need to get a monitor to be given to another building, or I need to dispatch some cartridges for another building, and that he was not able to carry in this. We made a trailer for it. These are all done by students, remember? Then a group of students went and asked the security guard what are the requirements. So they gave their own requirements. They said, when a dark area patch is there, what students will do, they don't know. But hence, they wanted a searchlight, but they don't want a searchlight separately. So that we included as the headlamp itself as a removable battery operated searchlight, and many such things. And they wanted a charging point for their mobile inside the bike because it's an electric bike. All such things were identified by the students. The system requirement specification or customer requirement specification was collected, converted as a product. Then few cycles we made. We also did for Kudremukh, because this, to convince you about that, it takes time. That is why I put it on the last. Kudremukh, because me and my colleague, Dr. Prithviraj, is good at trekking. So we keep good interaction with forestry. So we go with them for many activity. Hence, we thought we can take some students to them. And they went and talked to forest guard and rangers. They gave a lot of input, actually, what is happening and all that. Out of that, one problem statement was the present bike which they take to the people, especially poachers and people who do illegal activity. By the time that vehicle comes, they all know. You don't need to tell them that we are coming, because well in advance that information comes because of the sound. So one statement they asked is, I want to sneak in without making sound. And they had many other requirements. All the requirement was collected, converted to as a bike. this has gotten attention from many other organizations. They were asking us for the design, and we are willing to provide the design, but presently no one has come forward to manufacture it. Of course, it is only a prototype which we could make. One machine, one item we made, and we are running it. In fact, this is a running bike in the campus now. All these are running items in the campus, and students are so proud. Those who worked on it, even after 2 years, they come back and take a photo with that and all that, because they feel so proud. This was for waste handling, one trike. Then there are charging stations. Many items students could create. So they named it as Urja, and the emblem they gave is a moving charging symbol. You can see the charging symbol. So this is sponsored by 1970 batch of alumni. And most of this project got attention from alumni, and they could generously fund us to get these things going. And many such activity we could do. So with this, we want to look at why this experiential learning is required. And if you cannot do experiential learning of this kind, like making people to go out, etc., we are providing you a 3P lab, the lab at learner's place, learner's pace, and learner's period. That is called virtual lab. It is an MOE funded activity, and we at NITK call it passionately as SOLVE, Students Online Laboratory through Virtual Experimentation. So the team now take care of 438 institutions all over India, including places from Sikkim to Jammu Kashmir and back to Kanyakumari in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. All the places we have institutions, which is supported by NITK Surathkal through the project called Virtual Lab. This is available. Many of you are also partners in this. I know MNIT and other people, we have conducted some training programs virtually for them. So those who want to experiment with experiential learning at a remote location, and this is one possibility to start with our virtual lab. With that, let me conclude. I hope I am within time. We have another 10 minutes for interaction. Thank you very much. I'll stop the screen sharing.
Thank you, Professor Gangadharan, for an excellent talk, sharing all the experiences that you have brought in. Some of them are extremely valuable. So I'll open the floor for questions from any of the participants. You can please unmute and ask a question, any clarification or question you may have.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Could you please our ideas, and since we are taking some ideas from students also.
Yeah.
So could you please guide us about your topic, that how we can engage the students' ideas with these kind of ideas that you have shown?
So what presently I am doing is I am allowing them to come out with their idea and trying to manipulate it slightly, because if you do 180-degree changes, they may not like it. So some people will come with all the time mobile applications that you need to know how to handle. Otherwise, most of the time what I saw is we are able to modify the problem statement which comes from them to something which is amenable for us to work on. Is that making sense, or you are looking at some other kind of an answer? You need to help me to refine my answer.
Actually, sir, we are facing little problem that some students having the some limitations about the courses.
Yeah.
So we are trying to make the syllabus of the project, and we are trying to link the course content with this project.
Okay.
So can you suggest to how to solve this one? About your experience, I'm asking you to suggest us.
Okay, so now I'm sure that you have something called design thinking a course, or a design activity a course, but most of you will face one problem where you may not be able to get students from different departments.
We are getting students from different departments.
Okay, then you have, and if you are also getting the students from different department, as well as if you are able to catch your faculty members from different department, then your half of the problem is solved. Now you need to identify, suppose within the campus, you can start with within the campus. If you identify one problem statement, very generic, then find how to motivate them to get the solution.
Sir.
Like what we did for person traveling, giving the letter to different departments, need a vehicle which need more covered area, etc. That was one problem statement we did. Or if your land is with a lot of fruit bearing trees, how to pluck a fruit properly, or how to process it, or how to take item from, if your department is asking for drawing board to be taken from hostel to your place, then how do we do that? And many such things can be looked at. Small issues.
Sir, I think I little bit understand.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
ahead,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
I think just to add to that is in all these examples, it is a problem where the solution finally needs to be implemented with whatever resources are available. Maybe administration has some resources and others you can mobilize and implement that. That focus on completing and realizing that outcome is a very important part of this. If it is otherwise, it will end up as an assignment with a few wires and nothing will go forward.
Yes.
So
there is another
Yeah.
point which you have emphasized, but I think it needs more emphasis. Because when you confront the student into a context, they see the world and feel the pain or pleasure of the guy who is making this stuff. You know, he's struggling to make it. He's got all kinds of inefficiencies in the system, which are based on prior practices. Here you have a space for imagination.
Exactly.
To be conveyed more and more is going to the village and looking inside your campus is a way to think about how do you want to make your own life better and other people's life better. So, I mean, I know we have this conception that the engineer does technical stuff. History of engineering, engineers have been sociologists who have been transforming society from Hammurabi to today. We have a close relationship between society and us. Somehow that has been separated out of us in the way we have been educated. And that is what I think what Ganga is doing is fantastic, is to bring people back to their own people, to think about problems and not what Silicon Valley wants, right? It changes the focus of where the notion of needs and the potential for problem formulation comes into play, where you can realize the end product.
Dr. Ashok Wankade.
Sir, I think having a regular course doesn't, I feel, doesn't produce the desired this kind of result the way Sir has presented.
Agreed.
Then we always the focus is on marks or grades.
Yes.
It doesn't permit students to think freely. Fear of failure is always there. And the second thing is the visits for searching problems and etc. Outdoor visits, definitely the students like outdoor visits, etc. It is like a picnic to them. And with that, the thinking is blended and some experience mind like Sir is there. I think definitely students can deliver. So separate program or center is required, which doesn't attach with earning marks and marks, etc. or performance, etc. So in that connection, our CBT program qualifies that kind of thing, wherein we definitely encourage students by giving, arranging lectures, visits, so many things to encourage them, and some of them definitely get interested in thinking and doing something, and in this way something comes out. Otherwise, our education system is such that everybody looks at others' marks. So that focus is like that. That's what I want to say.
What Dr. Ashok said is absolutely true, because that's why I call it as an out of classroom activity. But what we did is not by force, by let me see, cajoling my friends, colleagues, saying that in their normal course, can they give some assignment related to this? Especially when vehicles were made, finite element program, finite element methods for civil engineering as well as mechanical engineering. I requested them, can you give an activity? I will give the activity. Can you treat it as an assignment? Some of them agree. So some of them agree on from computer science when they make an app. They say, can you consider this as an assignment so that he or she gets a credit? So some students come for credit. Mujhe kya milta hai is the question which they ask. Some come just for the pleasure. Someone get involved and forget that they are working for nothing. And that is what I saw. And sometimes they sit in the lab throughout the night. Evening, I might have met them before going, and next day morning also they will be there. I mean, we have some provision for them to sleep inside the lab, etc., and they can cook food. All that is there, but they forget the time when they get involved. But this don't expect 1,000 students whom you have. You can't expect more than some 6% to come to this. Even when we took the first activity, some 30-40 students came, slowly it dropped down, and we had some 20 students actively participating. So this is not a scalable approach. Says that all the 1,000 students will get into this is not what I have my feeling, but maybe Subbu can tell us whether something on mass scale can be done on this, or Sudhir, you can also tell us whether mass scale of implementation this kind, because that is a question I asked when Professor Sudhir came to my lab. How do we scale it up?
It is possible to scale it up. It requires a lot of resources. Now, there is this, I'll try to get somebody to come and give a talk on teaching factory at Penn State, where it's an entire setup of machines and everything. They first started using it like you do to some extent on offbeat projects, but then slowly they got it integrated into the mechanical engineering curriculum. And you can, because if it is running 24 hours, you can schedule classes, you can schedule times. They had an entire factory set up like that. And I like what you're doing in terms of outsourcing pieces of the problem within the campus, both intellectually and otherwise. Now, it's a clever way. It is this experience that brings people together, right? And I also think one of the things we forget is that engineering, when done with the intention of changing something in your head from where it is to where it would be better for it to be, then there is a motivation. And I also want to say, funnily enough, the faculty participating, at least in the experiments I ran, similar to what you're doing on problem formulation and product design, is that you get a impetus as a faculty member. You get a lot of pleasure. And you said something, the students are not worried that they're not getting paid. The intangible pleasure of doing something outweighs all the mathematics you can teach.
Professor Sudhir?
Yeah, so in terms of scale, the way we are approaching in the capacity building program is, at least at the first 2 years, for most of the students, start with a small changes in the pedagogy across a cross-section of courses. So about at least 20-30% of courses, if they start bringing changes in pedagogy, then you are triggering the interest among students. So that is something which has to touch all the 1,000. Right? Next level is where you have something like a design thinking or an entrepreneurship course. Those courses can be more focused and where they can actually get to immerse and produce something. Right? That is the second stage. So maybe about 40% students get influenced in that process. And then moving towards a startup and other things, we are saying at least 5% can be targeted. So that way you are mobilizing the larger scale, but having an expectation in terms of who can do what is more scaled down. So those who are going to really produce something is going to be a much smaller number. and those who are going to start something is going to be a much smaller number, but it has to be a gradual progression so that there is a overall culture of innovation within the institute.
Okay.
So that 1,000 are more responsive. Out of that, some 40% actually participate in building something. Out of that, 5% really take it forward. So that kind of approach probably we should, that's what we are trying to attempt in the CBD program. So it still has to touch everybody, but at different levels of rigor.
Okay, that gives me an answer in such a way that even this attempt may create a wave, which even though it may not be so powerful to change many things, but at least few will get changed, and that if that reflect more and more, probably the changes will be visible as such.
Yeah.
But actually, Ganga, what you are doing with partitioning and giving the pieces to the different professors, if you start making it into a systematic way of continuously providing them with problems, suddenly you are turning the table because you are providing them with homework for their students which are meaningful. Right?
Okay.
You have dramatically changed the relationship, and you can build this relationship in a stronger way. And slowly they will get sucked into it, believe me, because in my experience, when theory and practice come together, suddenly something happens which theory has not taken into account. So you have to come back and modify your theory. And this mutually reinforcing process can be thrilling as a faculty, including for writing papers. Yeah.
Yep. So we have Dr. Saurabh, you have a question?
So thank you, sir. Sir, very nice presentation. And whenever I see your presentation, I get many answers from whatever in my mind. Sir, actually, in design thinking process, there is a convergent and divergent theory. No? So there where we see like that when you said that toy making problem statement, where you said 250 rupees per day they are earning, and they ask you to help me to live better. Then you come up with different divergent ideas you have taken, and how you decided as a convergent that it can be a 10x, that I want to understand little bit, if you give me a
So
knowledge.
10x came just like that as a number. There was no basis on which I started, but fortunately that was an achievable target. So if you are giving a statement to a student or somebody to follow, unless you talk in terms of number, it will not make much sense. Give my life better, or it is like your wife asking, get me a good sari or a cloth, or get me the beautiful book. That is not measurable. So whenever we are giving a problem statement, make sure that quantifiable and measurable things are done. So you can tell them that you are achieving up to 90% or 50%, etc. In that regard, I always put a number. I mean, anything which I do, I say I need 100 colleges to be part of it. Because our requirement was virtual lab was, we said 500 institutions should be part of NITK. We are now 438. So we are still working on it. So that kind of a number will help us to see how far we have reached our target. I mean, other than that, Sudhir, do you think we can give any diverging reason for that? I have not thought about it. How did I come to 10x?
No, no. It is like a stretch goal. Typically, in any problem solving, you may set up goal and then work towards it. Like for example, if look at the CBD program, we set threefold increase in the proportion of students who take to entrepreneurship. Right, that is based on looking at what numbers are there currently and what is really feasible kind of thing. So that we arrived at that kind of number.
Okay.
So that's a goal setting for any initiative. One can look at it. But convergent and divergent is a process where one can go about exploring alternative solutions and then converging towards what is meaningful. Right. So in exploring alternative solutions, there is a lot more freedom from a student perspective to explore alternatives. But when you want to converge, you'll have to look at what is practically feasible and what is really acceptable to the users. Those kind of questions will drive the convergence process. So typically this is how it happens.
Yes. Sir, I got the point. Sir, one more question. Sir, you showed about the flood thing, but sir, for that I didn't understand that the machine and what they are doing for that.
Yeah, it is a little more research oriented, using a sonar, that is single beam sonar, sound emitting device, and getting the distance back. We can predict we can measure what is the depth of water, or where is the ground, or what do you say, the depth of water can be identified. So there are software available, there are instruments available, but only problem was earlier it was in a big vehicle, big boat. Now we converted into a small, and we don't get into water. We are sitting outside and doing it with remote.
So that is for bathymetry, na sir. But
bathymetry.
For
Exactly.
flood for detection or something.
No, it is not for flood detection, to identify how much water is stagnated, what can be done, such things. It has nothing to do with controlling the flood. I'm sorry if I have indicated that.
No, I misunderstood, sir. Sorry, sir. Sorry. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we have come to the end of today's session. So thank you very much, Professor Gangadharan, for taking time and sharing your experience. Thanks to all the participants also who joined today's session. So the next session will be on 5th February. This will be talk number 44. It will be on sustainable design using in resource constrained environments by Sophie Halstead. So this will be the talk on 5th February. So please join us for that session. So thank you again. Thanks for joining today's session. At least for the participants in the CBD program, this could be an extremely useful resource. Please reach out to Dr. Gangadharan in case you have need any help or any clarifications. NITK. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.